Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And now that we've finished all three of the character reviews for Bishop, Jubilee, and Iceman, at least the kind of initial character reviews, I want to start diving into the uniforms. So today we're going to be looking at Storm, the big, long-awaited buff for a character that's an original X-Men, that's the Weather Goddess, and that, you know, had that whole Justice for Storm campaign that has since spawned the Justice for Iron Man campaign and a whole other kind of nonsense. But this was the OG, and how well did they buff the OG? Well, I want to start off by saying, in kind of a summary, this is pretty much a top-to-bottom change for the character. They change all 5 of her skills. Some of them are brand new skills. Some of them are slight changes that are still crucial to the character, and not only that, but they buff her tier 2 passive. Now, they definitely could have done more for Storm, but I think if you play with Storm regularly, if you love Storm, this uniform is a must-buy because it's such a large change. I wouldn't say that it's a change that makes the character, you know, pushes her into the top 30 necessarily. She may be right on the fringes, like 29 or 30th place, and it's not a meta, you know, shifting in any way sort of uniform, but it is a very powerful uniform for Storm. And so that's basically what it comes down to. Are you going to play with the character? Pick up the uniform. Are you never going to play with the character? Then you may just want to ignore it, but it's pretty cool. It's a cool uniform, as you're gonna see. And the nice thing about the uniform is that it doesn't drastically change the build for the character. So if you've already invested a lot into Storm's build, you're not really going to have to retool it. You know, if they had given her skills, for example, with large attack speed buffs, you would have to change her ISO 8 set if it was Power of Angry Hulk. Or if they changed around the lightning damage and they made all of them chill, or if they kind of switched them around, it might ruin your obelisk. But in this case, they didn't. They just accentuated what she already has. She now has very strong lightning damage on 1 and 4, so that actually really encourages the use of a lightning damage obelisk if you don't have a CTP. And then she still has good damage on 5, and 2 and 3 still do their part. They've got some extra added effects. Her 4th skill now has the all attack, all speed, crit rate buff, which is super nice, and it's good to start off procs with that. And so you can basically keep the build the same, except now you've got all this extra juicy bonus stuff going on. She doesn't have any other uniform effect besides changing her passive, her tier 2 passive, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. I think they could have given her some damage reduction, or they could have given her, you know, a small heal, or just something small to make her a little bit more unique. I feel like the uniqueness of the character is a little bit lost when you put her up against characters like Crystal. They kind of play a little bit too similarly, but I still think this is a very good uniform for this character, and I definitely think that justice has been served in a world where Jean Grey is not dominating the whole game. I think this uniform is going to be overshadowed a little bit by Jean Grey, and I think the uniform is also going to be overshadowed a little bit by Psylocke. But Psylocke was a very powerful character to begin with. She didn't really need a uniform, but she just got a lot stronger, whereas Storm wasn't strong at all, and now she got this bump, but still you might feel as though she got kind of, you know, she didn't get enough of the spotlight for long enough. But that's kind of something that's bound to happen with a lot of characters when they come alongside huge characters like Thanos tier 3, or in this case Jean Grey tier 3. So we're going to take her into some stage 20 action against Thanos. As soon as I find her scrolling through this list, I haven't found her, so we're gonna have to go and look for her again. Here she is. I already got her potential unlocked. I don't have her all the way to level 70 because I'm saving a lot of my X-Men materials for Jean Grey, and later today in the second video I will give you an update on that. But in the meantime, we're gonna go with level 64 Storm, still gears at 20. I haven't really invested in that for the same reasons that I just mentioned, and we're just gonna throw in one striker here for the heal. I don't think she can clear this, but I would be surprised if she could. She does have 2 bonuses. She's got the energy, attack, leadership from Ebony Maw, in addition to the 20% against universals, and then she's got the stuff from Shuri. Now, there's a few different ways, I would say, of playing Storm. You can definitely go ahead and just proc on 5, because it's a nice long iframe and it's got good damage, and then you can use 4 as a secondary iframe to protect yourself. And actually 1 has a nice iframe, and actually the damage is pretty good. But there's another way to play her, which is to do 5 cancel into 4, and that is another option for you. But we're gonna try and, well, we just procced by accident there. We're gonna try to get some of these other rotations down. I'm a little bit distracted with what I'm trying to do versus what's happening on the screen, but yeah, she's got just much better damage overall on all of her skills. That would have been a proc on 4 if it hadn't gotten messed up. But yeah, a pretty rough start, but I think we can clean it up here. She does good damage on 1 and 4, and I actually want to try to proc on 1 to show you guys that was close to half a bar there on the first skill proc. So 1's got nice damage, and then this is going to be, oh, we were a little bit late. That was going to be 5 cancel 4. The really nice thing about her second skill is that they added the movement to it. I'm kind of early on all of my procs somehow, but we're getting quite unlucky here with Storm. Not doing the best of showcasing her and her talents, but she's a lot better. And the fact that I can make mistakes, and the fact that she's still not dead, you know, previous Storm would have been dead by now. All these mistakes that I've made. Honestly, the buff to her, man, this snare shit is so annoying. The buff to her second skill is it's such an underrated buff. This is proc on 4. Well, it was proc on 4 until I missed. The procs are either always late or always early. I love that. That was also an attempt at proc on 4. That didn't work. This is kind of a proc on 1. Not bad. I'm going to try here to proc on 5. Here we go. Or proc on 4, excuse me. Anyways, again, it didn't work. Anyways, believe me, procking on 4 does work. Well, procking on 4 does decent damage. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Honestly, sometimes I feel like the game is screwing with me. When I'm not trying to proc on a skill, it'll like every single time it'll proc early, and then when I'm trying to proc on a skill, it will always be perpetually late. So we're trying now. There's the proc on 4, so it's over half a bar, which is quite nice. And that's pretty good for a no striker stage 20 Thanos. We're going to try that again here. You have to cancel it fairly early because there's lots of hits there with her 5th skill. But yeah, the damage is pretty nice and it's pretty consistent. She might even be a candidate for like a CTP of Rage. I don't know if someone wanted to try that. She doesn't have any native dodge, but she does have multiple skills that deal pretty decent damage. And as long as... Oh, she died. Well, as long as you can pick up those heals, you might be in a good position. I want to... The Thanos one was more about survivability. I want to illustrate another clear here. We're going to go up against stage... Let's try stage 60 Ebony. This one might be a little bit too hard for her, but we're going to try this anyways. We're going to bring in a non-elemental striker just to try to get some mind control, just to illustrate a little bit of what Storm can do when she's not being constantly harassed. Now again, we would like to have Nick Fury. I used him on another clear because I was trying to push on stage 37, 36 Thanos. I don't have Nick Fury to use here, but ideally you would have Nick Fury to use here because you would get that additional super armor, which Storm desperately needs. But it's important to know for Storm specifically that you want to try to proc on 4 because the lightning damage is on 4, and wow, the damage is really low. I don't know why it's so incredibly low. But yeah, the reason why you want to keep 4 in mind as a proc option is because of the fact that so you can just wheel out of the way. It's so good. 4 and 1, I'm not having any luck with the procs today. 4 and 1 deal elemental damage. Is the damage really this bad with no strikers? Is stage 60 really this difficult for her without all defense down? I guess the answer is yes. It's a resounding yes. We're gonna hold the 5 skill iframe there a little bit, but yeah, this damage is a little bit sad, and it's making Aurora seem worse than she is. Man, the proc is like not, the bar is not even moving unless maybe 60 was too high. Yeah. This is a bit unfair to Storm. My bad, Storm. I'm not too familiar with what the stage requirements would be. Let's try 50 with no strikers. I'm just not that familiar with. I'm more familiar with like Proxima for physical damage because I've done so many videos about, you know, Deadpool, Captain America, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Juggernaut, just trying out all these different stages with no strikers. But honestly, Ebony, because you kind of need that mind control because he's so damn squirmish, or not squirmish, but like slippery. You just don't know what stage to use, to not use strikers on. I don't think anyone wants to play Ebony without strikers because he's just so frustrating. But we're gonna try to put you know, Storm in the most difficult possible scenario that she can still succeed in, so you guys can get a feel for what the character is ultimately most capable of. But yeah, it can be a little bit difficult to proc safely, or not safely, accurately. There we go. That was a bit more juice with that fourth skill. It's a little bit harder to cancel, but I mean, you can see visually the skills are beautiful, and the damage on 1 and 4 is really where you're going to get a lot of that punch off on Ebony, because that was the proc on 1 actually, and it's nice. Like, it's nice damage for the first skill, for it being a first skill attack. The damage is nice, and you know what? I could even, well, I can't proc on a skill if I keep getting everything canceled, but let's try 5 cancel. Oh, he's into his next phase. Okay, so this is much better. We're pretty much on track to clear at this point, with about 1 minute and 10 gone. But let's see. Let's see. Try to proc on 4. No, still no proc. Do you guys see what I'm saying? When I try to proc on a skill, nothing happens. When I don't want to proc on the skill, you know, it will proc. It will proc early every time. It still hasn't procced. Wow. We basically missed 2 procs in a row. That's something special. That's the net marble special there. I think procking on 1 might actually be better than procking on 4. We're still taking damage here though, because we're just getting guard broken and just like dumb stuff is happening. But let's see if we can get a proc on 1. Yeah, it's not bad. It'd be really nice if she had elemental damage on more of her skills. I'm not really sure why they chose to do that. To only give her 2 elemental damage skills and to keep the rest of them as just energy damage. Like even Iceman. I mean, I know Iceman is more. I mean, he's literally elemental, but it would have been nice if Storm had gotten skills that were more elementally focused, just because of the fact that she controls the elements. So I don't know. It's just a weird little thing that I'm gonna die. Just a weird little thing, and it does make her struggle a little bit more against Ebony, because she doesn't have, like, not all 5 skills are going to appear to do the same damage, and that's part of the reason why 1 does so much, because it does lightning damage. So I mean, 2, 3, and 5 will seem like they're doing really bad damage compared to 1 and 4. I mean, if I can ever hit this proc, it's insane how bad the proc is being right now. And I died again. Yeah. No, I mean, these are not the greatest showings for Storm. I'm a bit frustrated with the way the game is playing right now. It's really ridiculous. I'm missing pretty much every single proc that I actually intentionally try to set up, and all of the procs that I'm just kind of joking around on happen early. I'm not really sure. I think with a max build, you would be a little bit more, you know, appealing, or you would be a bit more satisfied with Storm. But I think she's pretty decent, and I think it really just comes down to whether you're going to play with the character or not. She's very, very good for Shadowland, which has always been the case because of all her skills, kind of super armor breaking and kind of stun locking the characters into place. I don't have any high level Shadowland content to share with you guys now because we're still on stage 1 because the reset happened like a few hours ago. But I can bring you guys some more content for that. Outside of Shadowland, is she going to push up higher than characters like Scarlet Witch and Psylocke now in Ebony Maw World Boss? No, because she only has 2 elemental damage skills, whereas these other characters have 5. Even, you know, Human Torch does. So Storm, kind of like characters like Iron Man, are put in a kind of a weird situation for World Boss specifically, where she has some elemental damage, which you would think makes her good against Ebony, but she doesn't do enough elemental damage on those skills, and the other skills don't do enough damage otherwise to really make a huge dent. She would definitely be able to clear that stage 50 with 5 strikers, no problem. She could probably push up to 55, possibly 60, but then you have to ask yourself, are you purchasing the uniform just for that? In the case of loving in the case of the skill animations, hell yeah, I'll purchase the uniform just for the skill animations and just because I like Storm. Beyond that, is she going to serve you, you know, as usefully as some of these other characters? I would probably compare her to Psylocke without a uniform. It's a, you know, it's 1/6 of the cost that Psylocke was, but it's really up to you at the end of the day. And with Jean Grey's uniform, you might have bigger priorities. So let me know what you guys think of Storm. Apologies to Storm fans out there for not giving her the best possible showing, but I'll practice my Storm, and hopefully some of those procs will line up instead of being janky bastards. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.